From the world of Doctor Who, a short Dalek story, The Extermination of Humans, based on the events from Doctor Who, Power of the Daleks, by Derek Sherwin. Read by Samuel Rush. My name is Randy Wyatt, and I am one of many security guards under the control of newly elected Governor Bragen. The previous governor, Hensel, was murdered by the rebels in an attempt to take over the colony for themselves. The planet Vulcan had been my home for many years, and I spent most of my adult life learning how to become the best security guard in the colony. I never did like Hensel. He was too soft and always tried to find a peaceful solution to everything. I was trained personally by Bragen on how to survive the planet's atmosphere full of mercury swamps, learning my responsibilities, and more importantly, knowing how to kill. You see, from a young age, I always was obsessed by killing insects I found. I got some sort of pleasure knowing I had such control over such pathetic beings, and I could end their lives so easily. My favourite childhood memory was grabbing a fly by its wings and placing it into a spider's web. I would watch in sick pleasure as the spider would slowly move towards the fly and begin to slowly wrap it up. I could imagine the fly screaming and begging me to save it, but I would just watch as the spider devoured it. During my service to Governor Hensel, I was rarely allowed to kill anyone, unless they posed a threat to the lives of the colony, or against my own life. There was one scum who thought he could take me in a fight. He foolishly squared up to me after a disagreement over his attitude towards me. A quick bullet from my machine gun soon put a stop to that. Things have changed recently on Vulcan. The scientist Lesterson had made some new discovery within a hidden capsule. He was continuously trying to find ways to break into it. Janley, another one of Lesterson's assistants, and a rather attractive one too, also tried to find a way to help get into the capsule. It wasn't until the arrival of that Earth Examiner, I can't remember his name, he somehow managed to gain access to the inside chamber of the capsule. He uncovered these metallic squat robots. They looked like pepper pots with a neck grill and silver slats. The lower part of the body was covered in blue spheres, and two arms were tucked into some kind of shoulder section. One was a long arm with what seemed to be some kind of sucker on the end of it. The other had a short stubby arm, which I never really understood what was for. It had a domed head with two small lights on either side of it, and a long eye on the top. At least, I assume it's its eye. They were entirely silver with blue spheres along the bottom of the robot's body. Eventually, Lesterson managed to reactivate these robots, and I heard that the Earth Examiner was furious and terrified all in one. I heard from one of my fellow guards that he ordered Hensel to give orders for these machines to be broken and melted down. He was ranting about how all our lives were in danger and these things could end the colony. As time passed, I began to see more of these creatures roaming along the corridors of the base. I noticed too that their short stubby arm was removed. Strange. I always wondered why. Today, I was ordered to Bragen's office. Some sort of emergency, he had said, and orders were orders. I and my fellow security guard David came to the office of now Governor Bragen and entered. We were both greeted by the sight of the Earth Examiner, Quinn, and some girl. I assume she was the examiner's assistant, and I have to say, she's a pretty little thing.
Now I'm declaring martial law. You'll be returned to prison and properly guarded this time.
Martial law? What good do you think that will do against the Daleks?
The Daleks will do as I tell them.
We shall see, shan't we?
Take them away.
Bragen had ordered us to escort these 3 prisoners to the prison block. Apparently, these 3 people were responsible for the death of Hensel. Shame. I always wanted to kill him myself. Still, now that Bragen has taken over as governor, the colony will run much more smoothly, and I might be able to kill rebels more freely. Me and Bragen have always shared a passion for killing and gaining power. As we escorted the 3 prisoners along the corridor, it wasn't long before one of those squat metallic beings blocked our path. It moved in front of us, and it spoke in a sharp metallic voice.
This area is restricted.
On whose authority?
Repeat, this area is restricted.
The metallic being moved slightly closer, extending its sucker arm towards me, and spoke again, this time more aggressively.
Obey, or you will be exterminated!
A second squat metallic shape moves beside the first, and both now point their short, stubby arms at us. It was at this point Quinn, the former deputy governor, decided that he would take action and ordered us to retreat. I had first hesitated, almost wanting to challenge these metal dustbins. I bet my machine gun could do some damage, if shot in the right places, I thought. I decided to play Quinn's game for now, though, and I followed behind the others.
They will be exterminated along with the rest of the humans. We are to wait here until the humans fight among themselves. Then we will strike and exterminate. Exterminate. Orders received. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate, annihilate, destroy. Daleks conquer and destroy. Daleks conquer and destroy. Daleks conquer and destroy. Daleks conquer and destroy. Take up positions, ready to exterminate all humans.
Whilst walking behind the 3 prisoners, David and I followed Quinn. As we walked up the corridor, we were distracted by the appearance of another metallic robot. It was then that the Earth Examiner spoke, and gave this thing a name.
Even a Dalek could understand.
Dalek? So that's what they're called. A Dalek. He was rambling on about it being armed, and before anything else, Quinn made his move. He spun and knocked David out cold. I quickly took up a defensive position and seized him by his neck. As I was preparing my next attack, the Examiner barged into me and sent me tumbling to the floor. As they ran, I snatched up my machine gun and opened fire in anger. Damn it! They got away. I quickly pursued after them. They were not going to escape. As I made off after them, I heard a loud scream just up ahead and round the corner of the corridor. I stopped and listened. I heard more people running and strange loud hissing noises in concentrated bursts. It was then I heard more screaming. I stood rooted to the spot for a few seconds longer, and along the far wall fell a dark shadow of a Dalek. As it rounded the corner, I took aim and fired. It felt good to fire at one of them, as I wanted to see it explode as my bullets hit it. To my surprise, the Dalek kept its slow advance towards me, gliding slowly like a ghost from a nightmare. From behind it, another security guard appeared and began to fire at the Dalek. Instantly the Dalek spun around, and I heard the hissing sound and a burst of bright light engulfs the guard, and the scream was ripped from his mouth. I took the opportunity to turn and run, not wanting to meet the same fate. As I ran through the base, I came across more and more bodies, and some of them were positioned in such a way where their bones must have been broken. All around me, screams and death cries could be heard. As much as I loved a good gunfight, I couldn't help but feel this sinking feeling of dread. If I wasn't careful, I would be joining the bodies of the dead. I had to find somewhere to hide, whilst I came up with my next move. I carried on past the bodies and made my way to the storeroom. If I could make it inside and hide away for a bit, then I could have time to think. I rounded another corner and came across rebels trying to fight off 2 security guards. Behind the rebels, I raised my machine gun and fired without mercy, cutting them down in a shower of bullets and blood. Before I could savour the moment, a Dalek appears behind the guards, and it screams in anger.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
The guards all died at once, screaming and dropping to the floor, smoke emerging from their burning bodies. Whilst the Dalek was distracted, I quickly made a mad dash towards it and managed to get past it. I dashed ahead, expecting to feel the firepower of the Dalek cutting me down at any moment.
Halt! Halt! You are an enemy of the Daleks! You will be annihilated!
I finally reached the storeroom, opened the door and slammed it shut behind me, trying to catch my breath after the mad dash from the Dalek. After a minute, I looked out through the storeroom window and saw David running towards my hiding spot, complete panic in his eyes. Before we got halfway, a Dalek appeared in front of him, blocking his path. The Dalek extended its sucker arm and it slammed into David's chest with such force it knocked all the wind from him, and I hear his ribs break. He crawls helplessly towards the way he came. I looked up in horror as more and more Daleks emerged from the corridor and began to surround David. One of the Daleks again extended its sucker arm and it slams hard into David's back. A piercing scream echoes through my very being as the force of the blow caused David's back to break. As I watched, the remaining Daleks moved in on David.
Take aim! Lower gun power to low frequency! Fire! Fire! Fire!
David screams louder and louder as his very body burns and blackens, until he lies still.
Continue to search for and exterminate all humans! Has the storeroom been checked for humans? Negative! I will conduct a search of the storeroom! Continue to search for and exterminate all resistance!
I began to panic, looking around desperately for a hiding spot within the storeroom. There were some old cardboard boxes stacked in a corner. I would have preferred a better hiding spot, but I had no choice. I began to move slowly towards the boxes, trying to be as quiet as possible. I had just ducked down out of sight behind the boxes when the door to the storeroom opened, and in glided a Dalek, its head turning from left to right, scanning the room for any sign of life. The Dalek moved about before it noticed the pile of boxes I was crouched behind, and it started to glide forward. I was screaming inside. I had to act. I had to do something before it discovered me. I could feel my heartbeat increasing. My panic and adrenaline all hit me at once. I quickly stood up and aimed at point-blank range at the Dalek's eye stalk. I didn't hesitate. I fired, and I kept my finger on the trigger, screaming in pure panic. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the eye stalk blew apart,
Vision is impaired!
and the Dalek began spinning on the spot, smoke rising from the neck grill,
Assistance required!
until suddenly the Dalek stopped and remained still, smoke issuing from the neck grill, and a sizzling burning sound issued from within. I had done it. I had finally stopped one of these robotic dustbins. I felt a sense of pride overtake my recent fears. I laughed and approached the silent Dalek, mocking it. I then noticed the gunstick pointing towards the ground. An idea struck. If I could somehow dismantle the gun from the Dalek, I could use it as a weapon against them. I began to tug on the gunstick, but it wouldn't move. It was firmly locked in place. There must be some way to get that gun. I then walked behind the Dalek and tried to lift up the dome, but again it was locked into place and I couldn't remove it. I then looked around the room and noticed a toolbox, and next to it, a crowbar. I quickly scooped up the crowbar and returned to the Dalek. With the help of the crowbar and all my strength, I was finally able to lift the dome off, and from within a ghastly, unreal stench hit the back of my throat and I almost threw up. I was expecting to find wires and circuits, but what I found instead was far worse. A bulky, greyish body covered in tentacles was slowly pulsating. I was horrified. I had never seen anything so disgusting. As I pulled back, suddenly the creature made its move. It sprang out of the casing like a bat out of the darkness and latched itself onto my chest. I recoiled and tried to swat it away, but it clung there, tentacles digging into my flesh. I screamed in agony and I fell backwards. My machine gun was too far for me to reach. I had to get it off! I had to get it off! Suddenly, I felt an intense, incredible, stinging sensation on my chest, and I knew it had bitten me. Screaming, I finally mustered enough strength to seize the creature and hold it away from me. I heard it slap into the wall and scuttle away out of sight. As I stood there, I groaned in pain as I felt a strong burning sensation course its way all over my body. Oh, I felt sick and dizzy, and I knew it had infected me with some kind of poison. I had to get help. I had to find my way to Lesterson's lab. Maybe he or one of the scientists could help. I made my way to the storeroom door, clutching my chest, feeling more pain working its way through my body. I tried to make haste along the corridor, but I could feel myself getting weaker as the seconds grew by. Finally, I stopped and began coughing and spluttering, feeling like I was going to be sick. I willed myself to keep going. I had to reach the lab. It was my only chance. As I continued throughout the base, I found more and more bodies of guards and people littering the corridors. I again felt a wave of nausea overwhelm me, and I started retching. My breathing was suffering. I desperately continued to fight for air. Halt! I spun to face a Dalek approaching from behind, its gunstick trained on me.
Stay where you are!
I turned and began to move slowly away, but I felt a burning, searing pain on my right leg and crumpled to the ground. I couldn't feel my right leg. My leg! My leg! My leg was useless. I couldn't move it. It felt as if it was no longer attached to me, even though I could see that it was. I then heard the Dalek gliding behind me, getting closer. I groaned in pain and desperately tried to crawl away, using my arms and my left leg to drag me forward. The pain on my chest was at its peak. I could no longer breathe. I was gasping for air. I then noticed a door at the far end of the corridor. Instinctively, I crawled towards it, willing myself to crawl on. As I was just about to reach the doorway, two Daleks emerged and focused their eye stalks towards me. I was trapped! The two Daleks took up positions, one on each side, and backed me crawling against the wall. Within a minute, the Dalek that had shot me also appeared, taking the middle space between the other two. I suddenly had a brief thought play back in my mind. Being a kid, killing insects, putting the fly in the spider's web, watching as the fly struggled for its life, almost picturing its cry for help. Now the role had been reversed. I was the fly. I was trapped in a web, and not one, but 3 spiders had come for me. I struggled for breath as the Daleks just stood there, focusing their eye stalks on me. I knew they were dragging this out as long as they could. I then remembered I had a pistol strapped to my leg. I was not going to give them the satisfaction of killing me like they killed David. I reached for the gun, unholstered it, and put the gun to my head, clicking wildly. I was expecting death, right there, an escape from this hellish sight that lay in front of me. However, nothing happened. I then remembered the safety catch was on. Before I could do anything else, I heard it. A word. The final word I would ever hear.
Exterminate!
I then felt a fresh wave of intense pain enveloping me like a wave crashing around a person. It was agony I had never felt before. I screamed and screamed for what seemed to be an age. My very soul was screaming inside, begging to be separated from my body and escape this pain. And then...
Patrol the corridors, find and continue to exterminate all resistance. We shall teach these human beings the law of the Daleks. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate all humans. Exterminate all humans.